There's been one SpongeBob episode that's never sat right with anyone. Not because it was scary or gross, but because no one could ever explain it. No answers, no logic, just a chaos that somehow felt too intentional. On the surface, it's just one of those, haha, SpongeBob goes to the weird place episodes. Classic visual chaos, funny faces, screaming Squidward, you've seen it. But if you actually watch it, like really watch it, something starts to feel off. The rules are broken, characters glitch, doors go nowhere, and there's this vibe the whole time like you're not supposed to be there. That's what happens in Random Land, and we're going to solve it. Not just the episode, the whole mystery no one could ever solve. Because Random Land might not be random at all. It might be the key to understanding the darkest, weirdest corner of SpongeBob lore. And it all starts with a phone call. The episode opens up at Krusty Krab. Squidward's ignoring work. SpongeBob's being a menace with ice skates. So far, business as usual. But then the phone rings, and someone wants a delivery to Random Land. Squidward immediately refuses, because apparently Random Land is such a chaotic, rule-breaking dimension that delivery fish have entered and never returned. This is a horror plot, tossed in like a joke, and nobody reacts to it. But Mr. Krabs obviously doesn't care. There's money on the line, so he sends SpongeBob and Squidward into what is essentially a pocket universe where logic dies. Here's where it gets weird fast.
How do I get to Random Land?
No one really knows. You just walk around randomly.
They're told to get there by walking randomly. Symbolically, this also sets up the premise for the whole episode, acting random. And that actually works. SpongeBob starts doing a goofy dance in a grass skirt, then disappears, like he broke the physics engine. Squidward laughs, does the same thing, and vanishes too. That's the first clue. This dimension doesn't follow cause and effect, it responds to behavior. They teleported to Random Land, doing random stuff as an entrance. It's a landscape that's broken, skewed. Their bodies are warped, their speech changes, the neighborhood itself rewrites their grammar. This isn't just a different place, this is a different rulebook. Now they're surrounded by creatures that defy anatomy. Bag-headed clowns, toothy birds. One creature literally ejects both of them from an egg. And here's where they meet all the lost delivery boys. Still wandering, still trying to finish their jobs. So, let's get this straight. This place is notorious for trapping delivery workers forever, and no one does anything about it? No search parties, no warnings, no, hey, maybe don't send your employees into the cursed void. Why? There's even a house for sale by a gender-swapped version of Squidward who flirts with him. Why does this dimension have a clone of him? Or is this just his imagination? And then the bag theft happens. Some weird flying character grabs the Krabby Patty bag. SpongeBob gives chase, while Squidward constantly wants to bail. Here comes the random montage again. They finally confront the lady. Turns out all she wanted was the Krusty Krab's paper bag as a hat. But this isn't about the bag anymore, because this chase suddenly becomes a gauntlet of identity crisis. Lots of doors suddenly popped out of nowhere, and every door they open reveals a warped version of Squidward, from disturbing claymation puppets to horrifying static-eyed monsters. Including the infamous Lost Squidward design. And remember, these versions are behind doors that Squidward opens. They're locked away like a memory locker. Squidward starts to break down. He admits it. SpongeBob, of course, still insists on delivering the patty, until they spot Mr. Krabs walking through a door. They chase him through even more layers of nonsense, dinosaur-human hybrids, black and white voids, dimension loops. Finally, they make it back. Kind of. But here's the twist. That wasn't Mr. Krabs, it was the customer, Roger, a citizen of Random Land who ordered the Krabby Patty. And because they were late, he doesn't have to pay. Krabs is devastated. A full-length episode of psychological unraveling, and he still loses money. End scene. Well, not quite. One final moment. The flying bag lady pops a delivery bag like a balloon, and the entire screen goes blank, with a two-headed worm saying, "The end," on its teeth. On the surface, it's just Random Land doing what it does best, being random. But look closer, and the randomness starts feeling targeted. Everything in this episode revolves around Squidward. The doors, the nightmare, the visual gags. He's not just passing through, he's being put through something. Why is it so specific? This isn't just chaos for chaos' sake, it's something else. It's a test. And what it's testing might change the way you see this entire show. Okay, let's start with the question nobody in Bikini Bottom seems brave enough to ask. What is Random Land? We're told it's a neighborhood, just a weird part of town you get to by walking randomly, but nothing about it behaves like a place. No outsider ever returns, delivery guys vanish, the geography folds in on itself, and the citizens? They're not characters, they're corrupt files. Every creature reacts to SpongeBob and Squidward like they're out of place, and they are. Look again. Every moment adapts to the main characters in real time. When Squidward knocks arbitrarily, they instantly find the correct address. When they act too logical, the world glitches out. When doors open, Squidward sees himself over and over. One of them even looks like the infamous Red Mist version, an unofficial fanfic so dark, Nickelodeon has never acknowledged it until now. And then there's SpongeBob, who never opens a single door, he's just vibing. Because unlike Squidward, he's not fighting anything, he's fully himself. Annoying, optimistic, oblivious. Random Land has nothing on him. So here's the theory. Random Land isn't just dreams or fears, it's alternate versions. Failed timelines, corrupted identities, rejected canon ideas. And that makes sense because this isn't the first time SpongeBob's done this. In Sleepy Time, we saw subconscious dreams. In SB-129, we saw time loops and existential dread. But Random Land? It's a garbage dump for broken versions of the show's lore. That's why the rules don't work. And the only reason SpongeBob survives? He gets it. He leans into the nonsense like it's second nature. Because he's been here before. Maybe not in the show, but in his head. So what if this place isn't just made of broken timelines? What if it's being sustained by something, or someone, constantly feeding it creative energy? Because the deeper you go into Random Land, the more it starts to feel familiar. Almost like it came from SpongeBob's own imagination. And that's not just a metaphor, because SpongeBob has created realities with imagination before. And what we're seeing in Random Land might be the return of that power. You remember the Imagination Box episode, right? SpongeBob and Patrick sit in a cardboard box doing nothing, and yet they're blasting through cinematic action scenes, spaceship crashes, robot invasions, all with their minds.
Hang in there, buddy. The chopper's on the way. 'Cause I already cut off my own arms.
And poor Squidward, he hears every sound from outside, but when he gets in the box, nothing happens. It was funny back then. But in the context of Random Land, it might be the key to everything. Because this place, it doesn't obey physics, logic, or even story continuity. It responds to the people inside it. Think of it like a shared hallucination, or even worse, a psychic sponge that feeds off your subconscious. Squidward says it himself. No one returns from Random Land.
No delivery fish has ever returned.
That's not just hyperbole, it's a red flag. What if Random Land isn't a real location, but a mental construct? Notice how everything seems to reflect their worst fears? Squidward sees himself, over and over, warped and broken. SpongeBob gets stuck in loops. Even the delivery loop is a metaphor. Lost couriers joined into monsters, like people getting absorbed by nonsense they don't understand. Now here's where it gets freaky. Remember how Random Land only activates when SpongeBob and Squidward start acting random? The second they do, boom, reality folds and they're transported. Not by map or portal, just mindset. This whole dimension might be a mental trap door, activated by pure imaginative energy. And the more emotionally unstable you are, the more it mutates around you. That's why delivery people get absorbed, why time loops, why some characters are made of worms and others fused together like corrupted save files. They're not people, they're leftover thoughts. Which means none of this is random. It's exactly what you'd expect to see from a dimension built entirely out of half-formed ideas, fan theories, and suppressed character traits. It's the ultimate imagination box, but turned inside out, scaled up to existential proportions, and abandoned by whoever built it. And the kicker? This explains why Squidward's imagination never worked back in the Idiot Box episode, because he can't control it. He suppresses everything. But here, he has to feel it. Random Land reads him like a diary and pukes it back at him in glitchy, cursed detail. It's a punishment, a consequence for forgetting how to imagine. So, if Random Land is built on discarded timelines and powered by imagination, there's still one question left. Who's running it? Because every simulation has a system, and in Random Land, that system might be broken. Remember that near the end of the episode, something subtle but deeply weird happens. They see Mr. Krabs, or someone who looks exactly like him, and at first, no one questions it. They chase him like he's real. Even Squidward, who's been nothing but terrified this whole episode, perks up. He's probably looking for us, and runs toward him like a dog chasing its owner. But when they reach the Krusty Krab, and the Krabs turns around, he says,
"The name is Roger, and I walked all the way from 86 Screwball Street to complain about never getting my delivery."
And then it's over. Joke ends, Patty delivered, everyone goes home. Mr. Krab cries about the late policy, business as usual. Except, that makes no sense. Roger isn't a parody, he's not a Random Land imitation, he's visually identical to Krabs in every way. What is he, really? So here's the theory. Roger isn't some Random Land citizen. He's a lost version of Mr. Krabs. A fragment of Mr. Krabs, or maybe even the original, who got stuck in Random Land years ago and never escaped. And now he's stuck, reliving the same unmet need. I never got my delivery. Think about it. Roger doesn't want the Krabby Patty. He wants the delivery, the routine, the closure, which might mean he never got it. Not when he was alive. When Squidward and SpongeBob finally hand off the patty, everything resets. The door opens, they leave, like the glitch correcting itself. And Roger himself? His character looks familiar. This is young Mr. Krabs from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Same eyes, same jawline, same blonde hair. So what if this isn't a coincidence? What if Roger is the boy Krabs, or the part of him that never grew up? The part that still wanted things simple, on-time delivery? And if that's the case, how many other citizens in Random Land are actually echoes of people we already know? The worm with two faces? The duplicate Squidwards? The malfunctioning delivery boys who literally merge into one? They're not just weirdos, they're ghosts. People who never got closure. All trapped in a feedback loop of randomness waiting for someone to notice. So, now you're probably wondering, wait, if Random Land traps failed versions of people, has anyone else already ended up there? Oh yeah, and there's one character in particular whose story might have started long before this episode and ended right here. Because that creepy Squidward door, the one with the hollow eyes, the static nose, the soul-sucking stare, that wasn't just a gag, it was a reference, and the internet has known about it for years. Let's talk about Red Mist. We've seen creepy Squidwards behind that door, but one version hits different. That door Squidward opens, the one with the sunken eyes, the dripping ink, the TV static, and the dead stare, doesn't match any design we've ever seen in the show, because it wasn't made for the show. It was made for the internet. That version of Squidward? It's straight out of a legendary creepypasta, Red Mist. A lost episode where Squidward, tortured by failure, spirals into depression and takes his own life. Of course, Nickelodeon never aired that, but fans kept it alive. The story spread, and now, somehow, the show is acknowledging it. Think about what that means. If Random Land traps unfinished character arcs, failed versions, corrupted timelines, then Red Mist Squidward fits perfectly. He's the most infamous alternate Squidward there is. He didn't overcome his fear, he didn't grow, he broke. And in Random Land, that's what gets you stuck. That door wasn't just a gag, it was a warning. A reminder that in this world, the wrong version of you might still be alive, hiding behind a door, waiting to be seen. So, what is Random Land? It might be one of the darkest, smartest, and most quietly ambitious things the show has ever done. Because under the jokes, the weird gags, the twisted animation, it's about identity. About what happens when versions of ourselves get stuck and never find a way out. SpongeBob and Squidward walked in to make a delivery, but they ended up opening doors that maybe should have stayed shut. And the creepiest part? We don't know who else is still there. But if you thought Random Land was SpongeBob's scariest episode, you haven't seen the one where the entire town gets replaced, and a foul, mind-warping force invades Bikini Bottom. Yeah, I solved that one too. See you there.